Hi everyone, my name is Adrienne Groff, and this is my week 1 assignment, the Introduction to Action Research. So a little bit about me. I work in the school district of Lancaster, right at Lafayette Elementary School. I am a first grade teacher there. I was second grade for the first 4 years of my teaching career. And then last year I was moved down to first grade. So this will be my second year starting as a first grade teacher. In addition to working as a grade level teacher, I also am our coordinator for our extended day program, in which we target anywhere from about 30 to 40 students within our 3rd through 5th grade classes, in regards to offering them tutoring aspects as well as enriching aspects within science, reading, and math. And then new this year with our iPad rollout initiatives, I am a co-tech leader within my building. So I am basically helping to run professional developments. I'm assisting our building teachers and everybody with any tech incorporation and any questions they have with that. Just basically a lot of technology and just helping to assist at our building as much as possible with that. In addition, this is my final class for my ACTE, and I do have a concentration within the STEM field. And additionally, a little bit about myself. I am a huge Duke basketball fan. I also like to travel. I'm a huge lover of marine animals, so sharks, dolphins, whales, you name it, I love it. So I love visiting aquariums in different states that I've been to. And then, of course, my lovely 2-year-old nephew. I just enjoy playing with him. He loves to read, so we love to read books together. He's quite a little spitfire now that he's 2. So just anything with my family and friends I enjoy doing as well. So the 4 stages of action research was kind of the first thing we learned about. And when it comes to which stage I find the most difficult, I think stage 1 is kind of where my difficulty lies. I feel like this is the stage where majority of the work is kind of done. And then obviously in stages 2, 3, and 4, it's kind of the collection of the data, the discussing about it, just kind of seeing what tweaks can be made based on the data, and then obviously sharing out the learning aspect of what was learned through your research. So the biggest difficulties within step 1 or stage 1 that you want to call it, I think I have difficulties with narrowing down a specific topic. A lot of times I think sometimes too broad, and I have a hard time narrowing it down much further and kind of seeing what it would look like with that narrowed down approach. I also think it's sometimes difficult to find valuable literature. Obviously in the world we live in with Google and the internet being filled with so much, a lot of times there's just a lot of extra steps to figure out, is this a valued piece of literature or is this just something somebody did one time and that's it? But I know it's very important that when you're doing an action research project that you're gathering sufficient evidence to support what you're doing and what your changes are within your practice. And then I also think another area of difficulty for me would also be determining ways in which I'm going to measure my data and how I'm going to see whether my instructional strategy is working or not working. I think it can be difficult, and I think a lot of times my brain processes it in the sense of I have to create something instead of using something that might be already there. So I know I just kind of have that issue with just narrowing it down and then finding ways in which I'm going to measure it. As far as obstacles in regards to action research, I do agree that action research is a great concept for teachers, but I think in the time that we are working in, just in the generation that we are right now and the way education is constantly ever changing, and things are always coming out that are new and something new to try, I think those are the biggest obstacles, is just dealing with the fact that districts and schools in general always have initiatives that they're looking to roll out. I know within our district, technology is a huge one that we've started rolling out last year, and this with just providing teachers with iPads. Some schools had carts in general just to share within the building, but our 6th through 8th graders were completely one-to-one last year. And then this year, our elementary school is getting 15 iPads this year, 15 next year, so we'll be one-to-one starting next year as well. So having that be a huge initiative within our district, that is just one initiative. There's always new initiatives when you look at new curriculum as well. So it's just kind of an ever-changing thing, and sometimes it's a lot to keep up with because there's always learning that has to be done for that initiative. There's that tinkering and learning phase that you have to do. So I think sometimes, and this goes right into my next point, the time that you have available to complete an action research project is sometimes not there, or it sometimes gets pushed aside. Which kind of also leads into the teacher evaluation requirements. I'm obviously not sure what other districts do, but our district has all teachers that are tenured on a 3-cycle thing every year. So every year you're a part of a different cycle. The first cycle is that you are a part of observations. And so as part of your teacher evaluation, you have to have observations done on you by your building principals. Then cycles 2 and 3 are peer coaching or action research. So you can pick which one you want to do. So obviously, I think to some extent, some people do pick the action research, but I think it's a much more condensed version than what I'm reading and perceiving from, the pieces of reading that we've been required to read. Just the requirements within our district for an action research, it's a little bit different from what I'm reading. So obviously, for a teacher in my building or my district alone to do an action research when they're already required to, and they've already selected to do peer coaching, or they're already being observed, and then they have, these 3 initiatives, it's a lot to ask of us. And teachers have lives, teachers have families. Not everybody goes home and wants to constantly think about school. We do need that kind of a break. So I think that's, leads into that biggest obstacle aspect. And just the lack of teammates that want to join in on it with you and having that time with your teammates to collaborate. I got the feeling from the article and from the chapter 1 that some of these people weren't necessarily all teachers. They were just kind of not in the classroom full-time teachers. So, the one was a Title I resource teacher. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure what that means, but I imagine that they're probably a teacher that doesn't stick to one classroom and one classroom only. So obviously planning can look different for that kind of a teacher from somebody else. I look at our instructional coach. Yes, she has her job tasks that she has to complete, but she's not always going home with the planning and the differentiating that grade level teachers might be going home with. So I think the lack of teammates availability and people that actually want to partake in this, when they have X, Y, and Z also to do, just becomes quite the obstacle for teachers to really want to perfect their craft in that way. The stories from the field, I would say the one I connected with the most was the one from the Charlotte Merkland School. It was a Title I school, which is just like my school, and a high poverty rate as well. And just the conversations and the work done working with English language learners was really amazing to me. It really connected with the students in my class, because I do have some EL students within my classroom, and I do get a co-teacher, but obviously they're not there the whole day. So I thought it was really interesting how they identified giving that option to talk within their language, or having that opportunity where they could connect their language with what they were learning as they were first learning English. was really powerful, especially because Spanish is obviously a well-known aspect for English language learners. It's usually the preferred language when you look at it. However, our city of Lancaster is really huge with refugees and refugee families from all over the place. So that has really opened our district's doors to people from that speak Arabic. I have 2 girls within my classroom that speak Swahili, which those are languages that obviously we don't necessarily learn even within our schooling. And they're not really ones that you learn within most schooling. It's something that if you learn how to do it, it's because you've taken the time to figure that out. So when it comes to translators, yes, we have EL teachers and other people within our building that speak Spanish well enough to talk to some of our kids that speak Spanish, but we don't necessarily have that for all of our languages. So working with somebody who has never been to a school, does not speak English, doesn't speak Spanish, speaks a whole nother language, it's difficult to really meet them where they are. You know, a lot of our Spanish kids, we can get them rolling because we can kind of go back and forth between English and Spanish. You know, even teachers that can't speak Spanish fluently can at least pick up on certain words and be able to translate. You know, colors, numbers, things like that you've probably learned within a high school course or a basic Spanish introduction course. You can easily work with your students and be like, okay, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, say it again. This is it in English. So I thought that was really unique how it talked about how those students really need that incorporation of their home language to help bridge that gap when they're learning English. I also thought it was really neat how they discussed incorporating the students in their action research and really giving them a voice in their learning and asking them, like, what was the best way that they learned how to do something. I really think that is very critical and something that we as teachers sometimes overlook, just giving them the voice and choice, as we like to say in our district, to kind of drive their own learning and drive the specific instruction that works for them. Now, obviously, I would say that, you know, the school is working with grades that are a little bit higher than what I am working with. I don't know if first graders would necessarily understand the best way that they learned how to do something, but I still think there's a way to incorporate that even within the primary grade levels. So that is my presentation, and hope you enjoyed.